Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. Today is Yud Shvat and Yud Aleph Shvat. Yoim Godel V'Kodesh. Yud Shvat is the yahrzeit of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and Yud Aleph Shvat is the Kabbalah's Hanesius. They are no longer here physically, Begashmias, but they are still with us, Beruchnius in spirit, even more than before. Their influence and work is engraved in many institutions, organizations, and their saintly memories are in the hearts of thousands of millions of Yidden throughout the entire world. And as Rabbi Mindel writes, in many generations, he writes, no Rebbe accomplished in the world and brought back Yiddishkeit and Yidden to Torah mitzvahs like the Rebbe. And he mentioned that the Baal Shem Tov, in time of the Baal Shem Tov, there were pogroms, Khmelnytsky, the Gzeret Achvatat, and the Baal Shem Tov had to come down to this world and he had to wake up Yiddishkeit. People were fachalished. People were fainted. That's why the Baal Shem Tov's name was Yisrael. Every Jew is called Yisrael. When somebody faints to revive him, you say his name, you can revive him. That's why Israel, the Baal Shem Tov revived Yiddishkeit in the time of the Baal Shem Tov. The same thing also in our generation, Yud Shvat. The Rebbe became a Rebbe. The Rebbe, this was after the Holocaust. People were lost. People had sfeikas, doubts in Emunah. The Rebbe's name is Menachem, Nechama. He comforted Yidden and he brought them back to life. And that's why it's a Yoim Godel V'Kodesh. Yud Shvat is a very, very important day. If not the Rebbe and the Frierdiker Rebbe, Yiddishkeit now in the world would not be the same. And we're not talking about Chabad, talking about everybody, Litvish, other Chassidish, young Israel people, Reform, conservative. Yiddishkeit wouldn't be the same. And I would say that even the Rebbe spoke about Mashiach. The last things the Rebbe spoke was, Mashiach. The Rebbe made Mashiach alive. Everybody finishes a drosha, whether it's Chabad people or other Chassidim or Litvische, they end off the Rebbe says al helfen that we should be zeicher to Mashiach tzidkenu b'meir v'yamin amen. Everybody does it, and I don't know. I mean, they believe in Mashiach, of course, but this is like this is part of the speech. The Rebbe made Mashiach real. The Mashiach is the ani ma'amin b'chol yom sheyavai. This is what the Rebbe accomplished in this world. As Mashiach v'takeh bald kumen, and Mashiach is real. This is what the Rebbe wanted the last years in this world. The Frierdiker Rebbe was selfless. He's selfless Mesiras Nefesh in Europe, in America. Everything for Klal Yisrael, nothing for themselves. As we know, in Russia, under the communist regime, sakonis nefashis, at very dangerous times. And the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't get nispol. He wasn't swayed by. He did kashrus and Shabbos and yeshivas and mikvahs under the communist regime. This is the Mama Sakon until the Bolsheviks showed him a pistol and they put him into prison. He didn't get nispol. And they told him to speak in Russian and he said, no, I only speak Yiddish. He did not get nispol from them. This is the starkheit of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And he went out of prison and he came to America, Baruch Hashem, they wished his help. And Yud Shvat is his yahrzeit. So therefore, Today is a day that we have to verbring. Today is a day that we have to think about his kashrus to the Rebbe. What does it mean to be connected? I mean, we say we have to learn the Rebbe's sichas, the Rebbe's maimorim, kutei sichas, 100%. But is that the only thing of kashrus? And I would say that it's very important, of course, to learn. But people can learn. When it comes to midas taivis, they can be different. His kashrus means, as the Torah says by the Eibishter Kaviyachol, uledov kabay, you should be mekusher to Hashem. And the Azal tell us, what does it mean mekusher, connected? Mahu rachum, afata rachum, mahu chanun, afata chanun. The Eibishter is rachmanis, we have to be rachmanis. The same thing also, be mekusher to the Rabbeim. Learn from them, their derecheretz, their hanhaga, their midas taivis. They're carrying about every Jew, Abbas Yisrael, how we should be, how we should act. This is what we can learn from today, the Yom HaGodel v'HaKodesh, the Yortzeit, and the day that the Rebbe became a Rebbe. Now, there's not so much, much that I can say now. We don't have much time, but I do want to mention from my Zayde. My Zayde was the Rebbe's Malamed, and also from another Chassid. I want to mention the early years of the Rebbe. Maybe some people know, and maybe some people don't know. But whoever doesn't know, you can listen to this. This is from my Zayde, what he told me. The Rebbe was born, he says, in 1902. The Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, his mother Chane. Levi Yitzchok was an Einikel of Baruch Shalom. Baruch Shalom was the oldest son of the Tzemach Tzedek. But the Tzemach Tzedek was an Einikel, was a grandson of the Alter Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya Baal Shulchan Aruch. The Tzemach Tzedek had 7 children. The youngest, the Rebbe Maharash, he was the Chabad later, a Rebbe, and other children also were Rebbes. One was a Kopitzer and others. Baruch Shalom, the oldest, was not a Rebbe. He was a Adam Godel, but he was not a Rebbe. And the Rebbe comes, Rebbe Yisrael comes from Baruch Shalom, from that son. The mother, Chane, was aristocratic lady from Yekaterinoslav. Nayovsky family. This was a family of Rabbanim. When they were expecting the first child, the Rebbe, in 1902, the Rebbe Rashab instructed them in details how to take care of the baby, of their son. Wrap him around the white, just like they did to all the Rebbeim. Nobody even thought that the Rebbe would be later on the Rebbe. And he also told them, even though the Rebbe always says that when you give a name a child, this is only up to the parents, but Rebbe Rashab, asked them they should give a name of the child, a name after the Tzemach Tzedek, Menachem Mendel. When the Rebbe, Menachem Mendel, was 5 years old, his family moved to Yekaterinoslav, Rebbe Levi Yitzchok, to become a Rov. Now, let me give you a background here. The Rebbe's father lived in Padabranke. My Zayde lived in Padabranke. My Zayde was a sheikhet. And they asked the Rebbe's father to become a Rav in Yekaterinoslav. So, the Rebbe's father, I don't know how, there was no telephone or probably telegram, sent to my Zayde, begging him that he should move to Yekaterinoslav to become a teacher, a Malamed, for his children. The Rebbe had 2 more children. The Rebbe's father, Rabbi, had 2 more children. One was Menachem Mendel, the Rebbe. One was Berel, and one was Label. People used to say that the Rebbe's father has nice mebel. Mebel means furniture. Mendel, Berel, Label. Children, and he needed a Malamed for them. And he wanted Bedavkia Yerushalayim. My Zayde was a big Yerushalayim. So my Zayde did not answer him that he cannot go. And the reason is because he had parnasa in Pedebranki, he was a sheikhet, and he got more parnasa than being a teacher, a malamed for a malamed those days. He said he can go. It passed maybe a month or two. Again, he got a telegram from the Rebbe's father. He should become a malamed. So he saw how much he wanted. My Zayde gave up shchita, and he moved to the Katinas to become. And I just want to say that when my son, Hefshna's son, Shnei Zalman, was born, my father-in-law went into the Rebbe, told him, the Rebbe asked him what's his name. So after Shnei Zalman, after his Zayde, he was the teacher, became a teacher of the Rebbe. So he said that hat mir aufgestellt auf die Fies. So my Zayde put him on his feet, on the Rebbe's feet. As that word is mamish a meidendike word. Et mir aufgestellt auf die Fies. So my Zayde said that people at that time said that Menachem Mendel, means the Rebbe, the child, had a phenomenal memory and a deep learning far beyond his years. By the time he reached Bar Mitzvah, he was recognized as an Eloi. And I think this is written up in the last the gallery of the greats that I wrote in the Akdome. A big Eloi. When he was in his 20s, the Rebbe met the Ragetchover Goen, and he got smicha from him. Ragetchover only gave smicha to 3 people, and the Rebbe was one of them. Now here I want to mention 2 short stories in the younger years of the Rebbe. And this story I heard from my Zayde, that there was Shabbos HaGodel. You know, the Rabbanim speak Shabbos HaGodel, they have a drosha. The Rebbe's father was a minhag that he put in the talis, Shabbos HaGodel, and he spoke. It says Shulchan Aruch, Rav speaks about that, Hilchos Pesach. So he spoke. A lot of people, Gdolim, I guess, came to hear the Rebbe's father speak. And his minhag was, he used to speak very long. He started in Nigla, and then he went into Kabbalah. In the middle of his drasha, maybe after an hour, he stopped. He looked around and he says, I don't know if people know what I'm talking about. It was very deep Kabbalah. But he pointed to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was standing by the door in the back. Mazayda was there, in the back. And he says, Der Ingele weiß versteht or weiß was ich sag. He pointed on the Rebbe. That's one thing. Another thing I heard from Rabbi Lezer Nanis. When I was a Bacher, Rabbi Lezer Nazir was a Chassid. He learned in Lubavitch. Then he came later down here to New York. He lived till maybe over 100 years. He was in prison in Russia maybe 20 years. He took he was a Chassid. So there's a book about Rabbi Lezer Nanis. So Rabbi Lezer Nanis was telling us that when he learned in Lubavitch, I think it was his health, he had to go home. He was about, I don't know how old he was, a Bacher. So he told the Rebbe Rashab. Rebbe Rashab said, when you go home, pass by the Rebbe's, Rabbi Levitzchak's house, and then you go home. That's what he told him. So he went to Rabbi Levitzchak, and he told him that the Rebbe told me that I should come here. He said, you know what, before Shalashudas, come here. The Rebbe's father used to make Shalashudas, Kabbalah, Raivin. Come to me. Fine. So he came before Shalashudas, and the Rebbe's father called him over and says, come here. Go, I want to show you something. He goes, shows him in a room, a dark room. There was a light there, but it was finster. And finsterlach. And he said to him, look, cook gut. He will come useful to you. Who was there? The Rebbe was sitting and learning. This is what Lezer Nader said. Sitting, that's all. He didn't know what, didn't know when. That's why he went home. Later, when Rabbi Lezer Nader came to New York, he came into the Rebbe and he told the Rebbe the story, what his father said. So the Rebbe smiled to him and he says, Nu, ich hab dir zu Nis gekommen. This is a story. So anyways, in 1923, later, the Rebbe met the Frierdiker Rebbe in Rostov, And then in 1925, he met the Frierdiker Rebbe in Leningrad. And he started to become a secretary of the Frierdiker Rebbe. In 1928, he married the Rebbe Chaim Mushke. So this is what I wanted to mention today, today's Yud Shvat. And then afterwards he moved to Berlin, after the Chasana in Paris, and there's a lot to speak, but now there's no time. Rebbe is helpful that this day we should learn a lesson what it means to be mekusher to the Rebbe and to the Frierdiker Rebbe. In Mitzvah Hashem, next week we'll continue our Thursday night program. Thank you.